All right, so now we are going to talk about profitability, how it plays out in the dirt world. Randy, we've had a lot of conversations about profitability, and this is something I know you're passionate about for obvious reasons. But you guys have been extraordinarily disciplined about profitability at Blount, and that's one of the reasons why the acquisition happened last year. Talk about profitability. When did it become important to you? When did you become intentional about being profitable? Everyone, of course, is trying to be profitable, but when did you really start to think about it?
Yeah, so my father had passed away, so probably sometime in like the 2005, 2007 time period. We weren't making very much money. We had paused growth, and we were trying to refine systems. And I kind of had this epiphany, and this was it. What we do has a lot of risk. Mm-hmm. Why aren't we making more? And then I started seeing all of these statistics. So like industry-wide, it's pretty common, like 3 to 7% profitability. The higher being smaller companies, more specialized companies. And I was like, man, that just doesn't seem like a lot. Especially given that in the construction industry, most of us have to have retainage held. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about cash flow kind of separate from profitability, but think about that. You have all this risk, you're making most likely less than 10%, and the people that you're working for are more than likely holding 10% of your money. You're running a negative cash flow business and growing it. So it was kind of like, hey, if we're gonna grow this, it will be no fun if we're not at least more profitable than 10%, because we're gonna have to be on a bank line of credit, we're gonna have all these covenants we have to adhere to. And so as we started creating systems, we said, well, how do we be more efficient? And we had the opportunity, we worked with some joint venture partners, so we were a small company, but we really lucked out and had some great relationships and got to be joint ventures with very large companies, and we got to see how they did it. And we realized, I'm not sure we want to be just like them, because they're actually not any more efficient. Mm-hmm. There's actually kind of a trend, the bigger you get, the less profitable you are. Yeah. And so we said, man, why is that? I mean, traditional economics say you get this efficiencies with purchasing power, with size. Like you should, in theory, get more profitable the bigger you are. And so we kind of set out on a mission to say, how do we do this? How do we become more profitable than our peers?
And so what did you implement to become more profitable? I mean, what would you, when it comes to Blount or just a contractor in general, what should they be looking at to make themselves more profitable?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of things. One of the things, I take this from a book from Jim Collins. It's called The Hedgehog Concept. And the idea here is, as a company, over time, like you shouldn't listen to this and say, okay, today we need to figure this out, but you should be thinking about it. What will drive our economic engine? So where is there money to be made, right? And a lot of that's gonna be based off past experience and data in the industry, but where can I make money? What can I be world class at? Like, what are our people gonna help us be really good at? What are we passionate about is the third one. So what am I passionate about? What can I be world class at? And what drives that economic engine? So we did this. And how we did it was we said, all right, let's analyze the industries that we work in and how profitable we are. Mm-hmm. So are we profitable when we do energy and industrial work? Are we profitable when we do data center work? Are we profitable when we do schools or higher education or subdivision work, highway? And we honed in on what we found were certain sectors that we would consistently see higher margins. So yeah, there's one-offs in every sector, but we said, man, we're consistently more profitable in these sectors. Okay, there's something there. Then we started saying, where are we most profitable by job size? Okay, wow, this is interesting. We're really profitable on jobs less than $100,000. But from $100,000 to $600,000, $700,000, we almost don't make money. Like we're kind of breaking even on most of those jobs. Yeah. In our minds, prior to this exercise, we would have told you $700,000 is our bread and butter, right? Because we hadn't scrutinized the data. So we then were thinking, wow. But then we're like, man, jobs over at 1.5 million, kind of the same thing. The profitability goes up. And from a data standpoint on job size, that might change over time, depending on your structure and what you're set up for. Like, you might be a company that you look at data and say, we're really good at this now, and that kind of changes over time. So it's something you need to be revisiting. Then we said, well, what about when we win work? Is there anything seasonal here? And this one surprised me, like a lot. Arizona's not super cyclical, right? I mean, so, but we still have a lot more work in the summer. Even though weather-wise we should be doing more work in the winter, we still have a lot of work in the summer. We found that people fill their schedules in March through May, consistently fill a bulk of their schedule. Then come June, July, August, don't have capacity, in which case jobs were going for higher margin. We win more work in 4 months than we do in the rest of the year consistently, and because of that, there's less competition and higher margin. So I guess maybe the first step of profitability is analyze your market. Analyze what you're good at in the past. And maybe you do that and you're like, man, we are not really that good at any of these. And that's okay, but what are you better at? And if you aren't good at certain things, have a discussion about why. Why is it that we don't do well in residential? What's going on here? If your job costing is really good, that's easier, right? And we haven't gone into detail on that, but if it's good, it's easy to say, well, the reason we're not good on subdivisions is because, man, we tear out a lot of sewer. We're always having to relay it.
It takes humility, one, to admit that maybe you're not so good at something you previously thought you were. And I know this is skipping ahead a little bit, but something you guys identified that you weren't so good at back in the day was underground.
Oh.
And so you eliminated underground from the business, even though it was a significant part of the business.
Yeah, I mean,
wasn't that scary?
Yeah, it was scary. I mean, we looked at it, wasn't like, half our business or anything like that, but it was a part of our business.
And even eliminating any of your business is scary.
Yeah, it was scary. I mean, we had recently bought a lot of excavators and trench boxes and all this, but I think how you have to think about this is about 80% of our headaches and like issues were coming from the utility division. And so we didn't want to give up because of pride. Like, we didn't want to, we want to keep with it. And we still actually have gotten back into utilities and plan to do them well. But what we realized is the group of people we had at the time weren't the right people, and the market wasn't what it is today. And so there was a lot of competition. And if we could free up that 80% of the headaches in our organization and allow them to do work on what we knew we were profitable on, it would have an impact on the financial statements. And it would have an impact on our people. Our people, like, almost pretty instantly, like within 6 months, our people were happier because we were succeeding, we were winning. And then we just kept winning because all of a sudden they're like, hey, this is fun. Like, we're winning, we're making money. Our clients are happy. Like, nobody wants to show up to work losing money, unhappy client. That is not fun. We've all done it, and you have to. But if you can put your people in positions that doesn't have to happen, retention will go up, profitability will go up, you'll smile a little bit more, probably live a longer life. I mean, it all has this trickle-down effect.
Going off that, what are the lesser known benefits to profitability? I mean, obviously money's good for the business, growing it. Your people are happier. Is there any other benefits to profitability that even surprised you when you got into business?
That's a good question. I mean, I think one of the things is just security. Like, our cash reserve grew, and this is separate from profitability, but just I think a really important note. Growing a business that's profitable take care of the business. I see this happen all the time. They grow the business, and they're like, man, we made $1 million this year. I'm going to take a $500,000 distribution. An owner will do something like that. Forgetting that if they made $1 million and they're paying taxes on that $1 million, they're going to give a significant portion back to the government. Mm-hmm. And then the fact that if they're going to grow their business, they're most likely running a negative cash flow to grow their business. And so we actually took almost no distributions from the company, just enough to cover taxes for a period of 5 years, because we knew where we wanted to be. And so I think one thing is, if you're profitable and then wise in the way you manage that profitability, you build this financial strength. This does two things. One, I could sit down in an interview and I could sell the crap out of working for a company. Mm-hmm. Because I could say, we're a strong company, we're going nowhere, we're gonna weather the storm, and I could sell that because I believed it. Two, you can do bigger jobs. The stronger your balance sheet gets, the bigger the jobs you can do. Mm-hmm. Which, if you're doing a good job, a bigger job means more profit, right? Like, honestly, there's not usually a whole lot difference in managing a $10 million job and a $20 million job when it comes to the actual management of the job. Usually you're just there a little bit longer, or there's more material. So being profitable gives you those opportunities to build bigger projects, which means, longer life cycles, and that has its benefits. Like, lots of little projects can be profitable, but there's so many moving pieces and starting and closing out. Like, it can be challenging.
And I just want to remind everybody too, going back to the extreme ownership discussion we've had, is that profitability matters for everybody within the organization. And if you care about profitability, even as an entry-level individual within an organization, and even if the company doesn't necessarily reward you for it that you're at, fortunately, hopefully they do, maybe they don't, you're still going to be better off at the end of the day. You're still going to advance your career, and you're going to be able to go to wherever you want to go. Yeah. If you sincerely care about, let's make this job as profitable as possible. Let's make this company as profitable as possible, because ultimately you'll see that reward.
Yeah. We've always cared about people, like always. But when you're profitable and you don't have this downward pressure on how am I going to pay my bills, it allows you to be much more creative in showing that gratitude. Mm-hmm. I think most of the people in our company will say we have pretty cool swag, and we just give it out. Do we give it everything? Do we give them everything they want? No, but we're probably a lot more charitable with our swag than other companies. And is that a big deal? I think to our people it kind of is. Yeah. I mean, they're proud to wear our shirts and our hats, and they're proud to be a part of the Blount team and the gray. So profitability, like you said, there's the most obvious benefits, but it trickles throughout the organization when it comes to just the way that you can be so much more creative when there's not all of this pressure. Now, there will come a time where profitability changes in our industry. I mean, most everybody will say everybody has been more profitable than they were in the past. Mm-hmm. We're at a point where things are pretty good right now. So just because a company's not profitable doesn't make them bad. There will be tough times. But managing profit and doing the best you can with the resources you have allows you to outlast many people and allows you to continue forward. I think the things that we learned, the times that we learned the most were probably when we were least profitable. It drove us to put systems in place. It drove us to make decisions that were difficult, so that now we're much more profitable. We outperform the industry standards by 3 times, sometimes 4 times. So it just tells you there's opportunity. If you think, hey, I'm doing good, and I know there's people who are better than we are, right? We figured a lot out, but there's people who have it even better. So I think this comes back to there's a scripture, I'm not going to quote it, but it says something like, learn how to be humble, but always hungry. And I think that's so true. I think it's a good way to live our lives. Hey, I'm so happy with what I have. I'm grateful for our people. I'm grateful for the profit we have. But I want to be the best me and the best organization that we can be. And if you seek that, it will happen.
Yeah. So I guess to summarize as we wrap up, it's important to evaluate the market you're in, the market you serve. It's important to evaluate what you're good at, what your business is strong at, what you may not be good at, potentially eliminate that. And it's important to be disciplined, to take what you've learned, stick to it, double down on what you're good at, what serves you.
Yeah, and be analytical about it. I mean, we didn't dive into the analytics, but you heard we were analyzing. We were. It wasn't a gut check. It actually, the numbers surprised us. Like, find a way to take a metric and check yourself. If you don't, you're going to continue to make those same gut calls that may have got you into the position you were.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I think that is enough on profitability.